In this video, things were going really well until a tiny little mistake was made that cost me big time. Hey guys, and welcome along to another video. If this is your first time hearing or watching all sorts of sim racing related stuff, subscribe now and click the bell icon so you get notified of every video I upload and you don't miss a thing. You join me here in Quali for the FIA Nations race here at Autopolis. I think I said it right, Autopolis. Now, what am I doing here, you ask? And I am actually burning fuel, and I'm burning as much of it as I can. Now, I did this last time out at Monza and it worked well. You guys haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to be covering that in a video, so I'm going to be doing this technique again. And because I'm a sharing kind of bloke, I'm going to talk you through, if you don't do it, how to do it. Now, I have my foot, as you can see, actually on both pedals. I'm flat on the accelerator and half-ish on the brake. And what I am doing is to try and keep the revs as high as possible without them bouncing off the limiter. Now, every time it bumps off the limiter, it drops down and the engine cuts out. So keeping it constant is key to burning as much fuel as possible. Now, I'm going to do this for as long as I can. I'm going to work out when I need to come in the pits, and then I'm going to change to a fresh set of tyres. Having changed my tyres, I'm then going to continue to fuel save for the rest of the lap, but try and time it up so I come across the line with about 5 to 10 seconds more than the fastest lap was. This way, I have the freshest tyres possible and 2 shots at a fastest lap on the lowest level of fuel, which for me, I go for 2 because the pressure just isn't good for me and I make less mistakes if I know I've got a second shot next time around. So I'm going to come across the line here with 30 seconds left. I come across the line to put myself in 5th. I've got 1 more to go, but I'm going to push too hard, bin it, and qualification is over. But let me know in the comment section down below if you fuel save in qualification, what your strategy is. Let me know if it differs down in the comment section below. So let's get on with the race start. I didn't get pipped by anyone in the final parts of qualifying, so I'm going to start in 5th, which is positive as my door number is 14. So anything above 14th, which I very much hope I will be able to achieve, should get me a further boost in driver rating and closer to the A+ that we want in time for the real thing. Remember, this is an exhibition season and I want to make sure I'm in A+ to get in the highest lobbies and the highest points possible when the real thing comes around. Here's PG Motorsport there. He absolutely smashed it and was 1.2 seconds ahead of even second. So I don't feel too bad qualifying in 5th. As you're going to see, I'm in the ERT livery now, 1.8 seconds off pole, but again, not too worried, and I'm not using the arrows one anymore because it's time to represent. So on the grid here, just getting ready to go. I'm going to flick it up to 2 on the traction control to try and get a decent launch. I'm holding it on the handbrake here, no jumps this time. And on the left, you're going to see Mongi shows why it's good to have the traction control on as he lights up the tyres, and we go immediately up to 4th. Coming down into turn number 1, no brake lights here, so difficult to judge, but just about get through cleanly. It was close, but we got through. I'm going to pull out slightly here as we come down to turn number 1, not because I want to make the move, but because I don't want to hit anybody. As we come into the first hairpin here, I'm going to get caught out and actually make contact with the inside of the German and unfairly go up to 3rd. Now, I know he's on the inside here, so I'm going to get out the throttle now on the next corner and let him back through. So we're back down to 4th, a little bit of SR down as I deserved, and I'm going to have to go defensive into the hairpin here under serious pressure, but get a big slide on coming out the hairpin, which is my biggest Achilles heel at the moment. I'm going to try not to use my boost as I come down the hill, but then go deep, but just about stay on the track at the bottom of the hill here. Bracing thought of a move, but pulls out, good on him there. I've raced with him a few times and I know he's not going to try anything stupid. So we hang on to 4th for now. We've lost a little bit of time to the German up in 3rd, but we're 1 place up from where we started on the grid. So happy with that, to be honest. And as we come across the line to start lap number 2, look behind as Bracing has actually been overtaken by the Spaniard. And there's actually a 1.3 second gap as we cross the line. So it's time to settle in now. The tyres here are going to be a factor with the huge multiplier that Gran Turismo has put it on for this season. So we're going to try and take care of these as much as I can, because they're going to be critical further on down the stint. And I'm going to try and do that whilst keeping up with 3rd place. So let's see how we get on. A little bit further down the lap, we're coming down the hill here after coming out of the 2nd hairpin. And keep your eye on the German up in front, who's going to go deep like we did on the 1st lap, but he's actually going to leave the track. I'm going to have to take some evasive action and just about avoid him as he comes back on. But good news here as we're up into the podium places. Rejoining the action here on lap number 3 coming out of the hairpin. Again, the 2 up in front are just in a different race. So keep your eye on the map, as whilst we're pulling a gap to those behind, Jonas is going to make the same mistake twice in a row and he's just going to tumble down the field. Not good for him at all. So now we have a gap of 3.5 seconds to 4th, which is Bracing, who we were racing with earlier. Keep your eye on the tyres here. They're starting to go off now as we start lap number 4. Now, just to touch on strategy here, the strategy here is going to be a 1 stop. I'm on racing softs. There shouldn't be the need to put any fuel in. It's all about tyres here. And of the tyres that are in trouble, you can see that the fronts are really suffering. The backs aren't too bad, but it's the fronts that we're having trouble with. So I've put the brake bias all the way to the back. I mentioned it in a video last time out at Suzuka. If you want to try and preserve the fronts as much as possible, get all the braking requirement out of them as far away, get it all to the back so that they can concentrate on just turning in and they don't have to worry about all the pressure of the car and the weight on the front of them, which is going to further ruin them. So, going to get a bit of a slide on coming out of here. I've put the brake bias, as I mentioned, all the way to the back, and I'm going to come in at the end of lap number 6. So I'm going to try and continue to manage these tyres for the next couple of laps and get us into the pit stop window. As we come across the line to start lap number 6 here, the guys in front are 6.3ish seconds ahead and Mongi is 6.4 seconds behind. Now that is crucial. Remember the gap and remember that name. Now as it's lap number 6, you can see people are starting to come in. This is my in lap, but the tyres are absolutely shot at this point, and this is where I'm going to start making mistakes that is going to cost me. It's at this point I'm going to realise that I have stayed out too late. Everybody else was coming in and I am just struggling to get this thing around the track. You saw me there running wide. I'm so far away from the apex on that one as we come down into the second hairpin here. I just can't get the thing turned in. The tyres on the front are almost completely red now, and as we come down the hill here, I'm going to try and get it turned in, but as I mentioned, the tyres are just done for, so we're not going to be able to get the apex done, and we're just not going to have any ability to turn. I'm off the track and losing further time. This has been an absolutely disastrous in lap. Trying to get it stopped, I really don't want to go off there either. Look at this, you can see the little red mark above the rev counter there, just working overtime, trying to get this in, but by the time I come into the pits here, I'm just going to try and get through the last corner. I've actually lost 4 seconds to the guys in front. Coming out of the pits here, I'm going to get overtaken by Mongi, who was 6.4 seconds behind us earlier on. Now 2 more people are bearing down on us. We don't have the radar on as I was looking at the lap times, but thankfully nobody chucked up the inside of turn number 1 and we remain in 5th place. Now the guy in 4th here hasn't pitted. He's sliding around. There's a big speed difference. I actually make contact with him sloppily and then run really wide on this first apex here. There's some more contact. I'm going to light up the tyres trying to get out here, and to be honest, at this point I am rattled. I'm going to try and get up to the guy in 3rd and get that 3rd place back, but before I go forward I have to look back. I'm going to have to go defensive here as the check is all over me. I'm going to go defensive here into the hairpin, force him round to the outside, but that's going to give him the inside coming down the hill. He pulls alongside. He's definitely using the boost and there's just nothing I can do. He's going to take 4th place. I'm down to 5th, but I'm hoping it's not going to be for long. I'm going to try and line myself up and get a good run out of the final corner and use the overtake button to get that 4th place back. Because overall I can just see in the distance the Brit in 3rd. That is where I want to be. I want my 3rd place back. So as we come out the final corner here, I'm going to get a decent run and I'm going to use my overtake button. You can see it there. He goes defensive, but there's no chance against it. I fly down the outside, manage to just get it stopped, and I'm back up to 4th. Whilst that's good, you can see the guy up in front who's in the last podium place is 2.3 seconds up the road, but he's on 1 lap older tyres as I mentioned earlier. We've got 4 laps left here, so I'm gonna go for it. Having dispatched of the check, it's freed me up here and I managed to put in my fastest lap of the race. The Brit up in front is 1.1 seconds ahead now as we cross the line, and I've managed to take 1.2 seconds out of him on that last lap alone. Looking at the tyres, they're still looking at okay at this point, and I think I should be with him shortly. Now as we come out of the final corner here to start lap number 10, despite a much slower lap from me, 1.5 seconds slower than the last one, I'm only 0.4 seconds behind him now. But one thing I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if this is a thing, and maybe others can let me know if they experience it as well, but I feel there is almost dirty air when I get too close to the Brit behind. As you saw, the car got unsettled as we came out of turn number 1, and the car just doesn't want to turn when I get close. The tyres are still okay at this point, but I'm still sliding more than I would expect. And as I mentioned, I slid out of turn number 1. There's 2 laps left here, but I'm feeling like I'm running out of time a little bit to catch this Brit. It's not as easy as it has been previously to follow a car closely. I just can't seem to get the power down or get close enough to make a move. However, I still have some overtake left, and the best chances for us are going to be into turn number 1 or the second hairpin. So I'm going to try and get close enough to be in this slipstream, and then I'm going to use the rest of my overtake to see if I can make a move. But as we're in the latter part of the penultimate lap, we're just going to stay on board here until the end to see if I can do it. Now, this has been a great drive from the Brit up in front, Mongi. Well done to you. Despite being on older tyres, I just can't get close to him, to be fair. He's done a really good job of holding on. I, on the other hand, have driven pretty poorly, as you can see there, just running wide again, getting rid of any chance I think I have of regaining that 3rd place that we lost by staying out too late on the first stint. Oh, this has been an absolute joke of a race from me in this one. Now, despite being in 4th, that's good, but I'm still on that DR recovery like I spoke about before, and just pitting that 1 lap later really cost me. And that's going to be all she wrote. As you guys know, I don't do them twice unless it really doesn't represent either my commitment level or my perceived talent level. But in this one, I think third place would have been right for me had I not made any mistakes, but I did make a mistake, so I'm not going to go for it again. But again, well done Mongy, really good job here. Unless he chucks it off at this point, I'm not going to be able to get past him here. Definitely not now, after the entrance to that one. And while I would have liked third, I'm happy enough with fourth. We threw away the podium, but never mind. And we're going to come across the line here to confirm that fourth place. And I managed to bring home 1,578 championship points. So not awful. Let's have a look at how it's affected our driver rating. So as you can see there, our driver rating continues to improve. Hopefully we can get up to A+ by the time the real season rolls around. But for now guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.